is a feminine planet. Why do we refer to planet Earth as Mother Earth? She is a feminine planet. And yet we've been living as a masculine planet for centuries. Men have ruled the world for how many centuries now? You've proven that you failed, that you can't do it, that you're not qualified for the job. And the proof, look around. All we have in our world are violence, borders, fighting, wars, raping, domination, conquering. This is my territory. The destruction, the defamation, the degradation, the destroying. Patriarchy has been doing that to the feminine, to the earth herself, to women, to nature, which is part of earth, but that's all feminine, right? So the planet herself is a feminine planet. That means a planet that's meant to function as oneness consciousness, because feminine energy is oneness. There's no exclusion. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast, your highest source of sacred truths and universal wisdom. Hello, beautiful souls. I'm Rachel Fiori, mystic, spiritual teacher, psychic healer, and founder of Masters of Self University. Join our journey of soul transformation as we deep dive into this latest episode. Hello, beautiful souls and mystical beings. Welcome to Masters of Self University podcast. I'm Rachel Fiori, your host for this episode. Earth is a feminine planet, everyone. I think we all know that. Why do we refer to planet Earth as Mother Earth? She is a feminine planet. And yet we've been living as a masculine planet for centuries. This is all of the raping and the degradation of the feminine done by patriarchal rulers for centuries. Okay. The destruction, the defamation, the degradation, the violence, the rape, the conquering, the destroying, the taking, the objectifying, in every aspect of what that means, in every form of the feminine. Patriarchy has been doing that to the feminine, to the earth herself, to women, to nature, which is part of earth, but that's all feminine, right? So the planet herself is a feminine planet. That means a planet that's meant to function as oneness consciousness, because feminine energy is oneness. There's no exclusion. However, patriarchal energy, and it's patriarchy because it's a very toxic, masculine, inequality, one-sided domination. We're the superior beings. When you play that out, this is what you get. I mean, men have ruled the world for how many centuries now? You've proven that you failed, that you can't do it, that you're not qualified for the job. And the proof, look around. All we have in our world are violence, borders, fighting, wars, raping, domination, conquering. This is my territory. Raping, pillaging, more raping, serial killing, killing each other, battling each other, wars, more rape, more wars, more inequality, more hate. Throw in racism everywhere you go. Throw in enslavement of every kind, of everybody. Enslavement, guys, enslavement isn't done by a color of people. If you haven't grown up and waken the fuck up yet regarding this, here's the punch in the face you need. It's been done by men all over the fucking planet. Pick a color of skin. Men have enslaved. They've raped, they've conquered, they've dominated, they've tortured, they've murdered, they've enslaved, they've made slaves. Men are the ones who made slaves. I don't care what color skin you are. Slave owners, the first ones that ever existed, weren't white people. They were men. Light bulb? Anybody? Light bulb moment? Anybody? They were men. You want to talk about the first slave owners that ever existed? They were men. And they weren't white. And that does not in any way, shape, or form, don't bring your fucking bullshit duality separation consciousness to me. Think you can outsmart the teacher who's offering you high levels of wisdom. I am never saying that we don't hold people accountable and responsible, no matter what their color is. I am never giving a pass to any fucking white person. So don't you dare bring some bullshit to me. If you can't comprehend this teaching, that is okay. Get the fuck off the page. Go somewhere else until you're ready. Because there is a bigger problem here that we don't love to talk about too much because it hurts our male ego. This planet is a feminine planet to be led by elevated women. And that doesn't mean there's no place for a man. And it doesn't mean in oneness consciousness, when we create a new earth, the earth is and always has been and will be in the future a feminine planet. Women are the creator beings that bring forth life. You don't exist without her, period, end. You want to know what God incarnated is? Woman. Because she's the one that grants you life. Let that sink in. She's the one that gives you life. So in human form, woman is God incarnated. Now, we all are when it boils down to it. But the real God incarnated here in human form, woman represents that because she's the one that creates you, that births you, that gives you life. You don't exist unless she says you get to exist. Oh, now we know why men are trying to dominate women's bodies and take away their right to choose, forcing themselves on women, impregnating them. The over 65,000, and that's an old statistic since the old statistic. I don't know what the latest stats are on forced men raping women, impregnating women and little girls, and forcing them to carry their demon fucking babies. That right there shows you the patriarchal society just struggling to rise up in a last ditch effort to really dominate and get rid of the feminine as much as possible so that he can try to dominate God. That's all that's been happening for centuries. By suppressing, oppressing women, enslaving women, that's what you've been trying to control God. Earth is a feminine planet. Notice when the shutdown back during COVID times, Earth started to replenish herself because she creates life. She brings forth new life, and everything started to regenerate when they took humans out of the fucking picture. And here we are in this spiritual war, living on a planet that is a feminine planet, trying to make it and force it to be a masculine male planet. It's not. Isn't it ironic what shows up in the collective? The small percentage of psychopathic trans women who now claim to be biological women with wombs and periods. That level of psychosis is the most acute form of toxic masculine energy that exists, that you actually think that you're a biological woman. You're a lunatic. You're even trying to take women's wombs away from them, not just own them and dominate them and tell them what they can and cannot do with them, forcing yourself on them, raping them and impregnating them. But you then have a small percentage of psychopathic trans women who actually claim to have periods and a womb. You don't. You're not a biological woman. Don't you dare misunderstand my teaching. If you were born a biological man, let me just give this validation and this clarification for some of the fucktards that are going to come in the comments. If you were born a biological man, and you have chosen to go through a transition because you feel like what represents you more accurately in this lifetime is to a full transition over surgically, medically, chemically, you name it. Okay. You take the medications, you got the surgeries so that you can become a trans woman. Obviously, you're not a biological woman, you are a biological man. But if you want to do everything you can to become a trans woman and live as a woman in that way, more power to you. There's nothing wrong with that. The way of honoring, one of the universal ways of oneness is the way of honoring. We don't have the slightest clue what it means. If somebody chooses to live their life that way, the way of honoring, you can live your life that way. Why would there ever be a problem with that? Now, the dishonoring, the continuing of the symbolic raping of women, destroying them, destroying the feminine, is to claim that you're somehow a biological woman now. And there's only a small percentage of people that are that psychopathic, that insanely toxic masculine. It's such a psychosis of toxic masculine to even try to take the identity of women away, like they don't exist on the planet anymore. I mean, look at certain cultures, literally covered from head to toe. And there's laws in place now where women in their own homes cannot speak loudly enough so that anybody out in the street can hear her fucking voice. Go look that one up. This is a last ditch effort of the psychopaths that rule the world to try to snuff out anything and everything that is feminine energy and feminine power. This is a feminine planet. It's meant to be led. Women are the real leaders anyway. Do you know that in ancient times, what we now know because we don't have male ego anthropologists trying to lie about what they've discovered. We should know the truth by now. We should. If you don't, you're going to hear it. Go down the rabbit hole and look it up yourself. You can go verify this yourself. We know the truth now that in communities in ancient times, that who were the hunters in tribes? Trick question. It was men and women. Who were the teachers of the hunters? Women. Men didn't do as successfully in hunting compared to women. Oh, what? How could that be? I'm so sexist. I can only think men are hunters. That lets you know the level of misogyny you still carry within you. It's ridiculous. Men were the teachers. Sorry, women were the teachers of the men, the male hunters, and the women hunters. Women were the teachers. They were hunters and they were the teachers in how to hunt. Men didn't do so successfully on their own because they were so egoic. They would go off one or just two of them. They didn't work as a team. Now, I've talked about this before on this podcast, things like this, and I give an example. I've given an example at least once or twice because I love to watch them. They're one of my I love lions. They're one of my favorite animals. So the lioness, you know, when you watch them hunt, the females, the lionesses are the ones in charge. The lions follow the lionesses. They're the ones leading, in charge of a hunt. They go in for the kill, and then once they strike however many times is appropriate, then they're like, okay, lions, come in and take over, finish everything off. Masculine energy is a completion energy. Feminine energy is a leadership energy. Why? Because feminine energy is the energy of oneness. That's why, simply put. Okay? So we're not going into a new earth with men fucking taking us there. You guys have had your damn reign and it's over. Thousands of years, and look at what you've done to this planet with the male ego and your out of control superiority nonsense and inequality bullshit. You've enslaved, you've created wars, you have failed, you have proven you are no leaders. You've proven it. You cannot, it's black and white. I mean, look in the United States. We actually have a psychopathic, narcissistic, misogynistic, 34-time felon convicted felon who cheats, who is an adulterer, cheats on his pregnant wife with porn stars, pays them off, steals documents from the White House, is a compulsive narcissistic liar, is a gaslighter to the nth degree. That's running for president. That is the man that represents this country as a leader. And that's a man. If you have all not had enough of this clown show, psychotic fucking bullshit, and it is our fault because we are letting this bullshit happen. We are allowing it to continue. The government is supposed to work for us. They're supposed to represent us. If that's what represents us, it is fucking scarier than we can imagine. Women, it is time to rise. Where the fuck are you? Where are you? The biggest lie in the world by religions, psychopathic men who want to dominate the world, brainwash women to thinking they came from a man's fucking rib. You came from a woman's womb, from her fucking vagina. Hello? Did we not pass third grade science, you fucking idiots? A woman doesn't come from a man. Man comes from woman. Woman comes from woman. She is the creator that gives you life, idiots. We're still talking about this like this is where we're at in our level of consciousness. Seriously? I mean, whew, you got to go deep. And I mean real deep to have hope for this fucking planet sometimes. Jesus Christ. I mean, even he was like, Jesus Christ. Look at what I'm up against when he showed up. And when he taught all of this, because he did, Earth is a feminine planet. And what's missing in all of our healing and ability to elevate and connect to the higher levels of consciousness that we are is feminine energy. That's heart-centered energy. That's living as a heart-centered being, evolving over time into beings of oneness consciousness. She sees all because she is oneness. She creates out of nothing because she has the power to create, because that's what she is. She created you. And the lack of honoring, the blasphemy to even refer to a God as a he. God obviously has no actual gender. Let's get real. So refer to that word as source, the creator of all that is, as the light of everything, whatever. That's fine. But it is disrespectful and dishonoring, and all you're trying to do is snuff out the feminine once again. If you're going to refer to the source, the original source, as a gender, the only accurate way to refer to that source is she or her. She birthed you. You came from her. Just like in female form, in human form here, you are only alive because a woman brought you here. And that level of egoic inferiority, that you're so small and pathetic, is what turns you into monsters instead of divine masculine men. The womb of a woman births everything. The womb of a woman is used in manifestation and creation, period. A new earth led by women. You're here to follow her lead because she's the creator of all that is. And those of you still trapped in inequality, misogyny, flip it upside down, that duality separation consciousness, which is patriarchy, because that's all you've ever known, because that's what we've grown up in, you will then project that patriarchal duality consciousness bullshit onto this teaching. That is your ignorance, not my poor teaching. I'm not misteaching anything. That is your ignorance. And what I mean by that is when you assume and project your duality or separation consciousness onto Earth being a feminine planet, women will be the leaders of the new world because they will be. They're the only ones that can be. What you're going to project onto that is men are inferior. There's no place for a man anywhere. I never said those fucking words, did I? Don't make some bullshit up because you're a low level of consciousness and act like I'm the one saying that kind of nonsense. That's horseshit. It is absolute horseshit. And I never said it. So don't pretend like I did. I'll fucking call you right out on it. And you're making yourself look stupid, not me. It's a reflection of you, not I. So remember that. And I'm going to be very, very tough on that as a teacher. Because this bullshit that we do, the way we've been brainwashed to attack and never listen to a higher level spiritual teaching, I'm just going to misinterpret you and think what I want to think and pretend like you're teaching something differently and then attack you for it. Do you realize how fucking crazy you are when you do that? That's what patriarchy created. Thank you, patriarchy, for creating all that in most humans that exist on this planet right now. Can't even hear elevated teachings. So I've never one time said men are inferior. I come from oneness consciousness. That's a load of fucking bullshit. That doesn't exist. What I have said, unconscious men have ruled this planet for centuries and they've fucked everything up because men are not the natural born leaders compared to women. We are the creators. We see all. We create all. Doesn't that mean we would lead all? Hello. It's really practical common sense here. So all the convincing, especially that religions do in their brainwashing, that women are inferior, women are subservient, women are submissive to men, it's all fucking not. It's just flat out lies. It is literally Donald Trump everywhere in the world. I'm just going to say what I want. I'm the best. I'm just going to say men are the best. We're the superior. We're the best, especially white men. We're the best. And I'm going to say it enough times until you fucking believe it. Even though I'm psychotic, crazy, lunatic, and I represent everything that's wrong with man, with humans, period, but especially men. I am here to show you everything wrong with men in one body, in one person, all in one person. I'm going to show everything wrong. I'm spotlighting it. Everybody look at me. I'm under a spotlight showing you what is wrong with humanity and patriarchy and men. This is what not to be. Look, people who lack wisdom don't have the ability to learn from others without going through the experience themselves. That's people who lack wisdom. Those are ignorant people who have to go through an experience themselves in order to fucking learn something. Let me tell you something about my upbringing, my childhood. When I was very young, my mom started dating a man. She married him. He became my stepfather throughout my childhood. He was an abusive motherfucker. He was an absolute abusive piece of shit motherfucker. That's what he was. That's how he showed up. Extraordinarily abusive. And I didn't go through that and say, oh, I'm going to become, poor me, meh, I'm now going to become abusive. I went through that experience and learned that's not what I want to become. So I need to break all these generational cycles and curses and programs and all the things. I need to break all of this. I need to heal all of this because this is and he was a physician, well-respected doctor. Let me throw that in there in case you didn't know. That a well-respected doctor in the community was a motherfucking abusive, beating psychopath at home. Okay? But he was a good man. He's a doctor. This is the world that we live in. This is the world that women have to live in. This is what patriarchy sets up, an unsafe, scary world. And it is an unsafe, scary world for all children, boys and girls, because of the level of violence and domination and what men get away with in their behaviors, no matter how abusive and psychopathic they are. Look at who the fuck is running for president. How is this legal and allowed? I mean, it's shameful. It's embarrassing that this is where we're still at, and that we all claim to be waking up so much, that the world is waking up. We are. We are. I want to validate that humans are. I mean, there's a global mass awakening happening for sure. However, if this is what's still representing the leaders around the world, look at the other leaders around the world. Take your pick. How many spiritually enlightened leaders are running the world is the first honest question. And just because people are spiritual does not mean they're truly awakened. They're not authentically awakened and enlightened. That doesn't mean that. I don't care how spiritual you are. It doesn't mean you're a high level of consciousness. So it's not just about being spiritual. And it also is not just about being a woman. Don't you ever misunderstand my teachings. Call that shit out too. Just because you have a vagina doesn't mean that your leadership is, that you have any leadership abilities. Because here's the truth, women. When women, let's talk about this for a moment. Statistically, men are the ones that commit suicide. Men are the ones that benefit from marriage, not women. Men are the ones that do not connect on a deeper level with other men. They don't support each other. They don't have deep conversations. They don't talk through. They don't call each other out on their shit and hold each other accountable in a loving way. They'll bash each other, make fun of each other, put each other down. I mean, across the board, that's how men have always behaved with each other. Because you're not awakened and you're not a heart-centered being who has imbalance with your feminine, of course you're going to act like a fucking asshole like that. That's missing feminine energy. You're missing wisdom. You're missing nurturing. You're missing harmlessness and gentleness. You're missing being a compassionate being. And so you bully other people. So statistically, there's even been research done in prisons, all women prisons compared to male prisons. There has even been research done in the world looking at how women prisons function compared to male prisons. And I should really try to do a deep dive. I just thought of this right now. I just remembered this right now. So my apologies to you. I would have to do a deep dive and go find this again, where in the world this took place. But there were prisons. This is a long time ago that I researched this and was reading on this. I was reading an article on it. They did the research, and in a woman prison, all female prison, they allowed the women to just kind of not that they didn't have structure and it was just wild. They could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Don't misunderstand, but I'm just simplifying this for the point, okay, for the teaching. They allowed the women to kind of do what they want and run things, and they all cooperated and worked together as a team. The men, of course, continued to rape each other and murder each other and destroy each other and try to, I'm the top dog, I'm fucking blah, 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 I dominate, meh, because that's unconscious men. And even with more unconscious women, they still worked together as a team and supported each other. Here's another really cool one. Look this one up. There was a study done, I believe around 2000, maybe. I'm sure it'll come up right away if you look it up. This is kind of a fun one. There was a project. They did some research and just observed children somewhere around the age of 10. They were all around the age of 10. A certain number of girls, they were put in a house, cameras everywhere, blah, blah, blah. But they were alone in a house to live for 10 days. And then they did boys, 10 days alone in the house for 10 days. And they just observed what they would do. And within hours, you had a fucking Lord of the Flies situation with the boys. They fucking bashed and trashed the fucking house. They destroyed everything. They figured out a dominating hierarchy bullshit. They were aggressive. They were they didn't cooperate, And with the girls, for the most part, all of them put all their beds together, like in the same bedroom so that they could all sleep in the same room, so they're all supported and felt comfortable sleep. They cooked dinner. All the boys just ate fucking junk and snacks the whole time. The girls prepared meals. They all shared in all the chores and all the housework and the cooking and the cleaning up. And for the most part, that's how they cooperated compared to the boys being a fucking chaotic shithole mess. Like, no one was, oh, I'm so proud of my son in these 10 days. No one would have been proud of their son in those 10 days. And there was, if I remember accurately, I think in the girls, there was one girl that kind of stood out and was being a bit of a bully. And then all the other girls basically came in and helped out and was like, we don't do that here. Again, I'm simplifying for the sake of time here, so you get the idea. So compare the girls, same age, 10 days alone in a house, compared to boys, same ages, 10 days alone in a house. And it was fucking scary what you saw in the boys. Shameful. But the girls, even when they had a bully, they handled it and took care of it and came together in oneness to the best of their ability at the age that they were at. Okay? I am sharing these things. If we can't see what is blatantly fucking obvious, we're the stupid ones. I mean, come on. Women, where are you? Where are you? You better wake the fuck up. Because I am tired of waiting for women to wake up. Now, a lot of you are, but not enough. We are the ones that need to rise and take our leadership positions. We are the ones, because we are the ones that know how to work in community. We know how to delegate in a way that everybody benefits, and not just for me. I want to be the one in charge. In oneness consciousness, think about the quote unquote hierarchy, not that old patriarchal fucked up definition of hierarchy. Even in the realms, in the divine realms, in the formless, okay, in the heavens, so to speak. Of course, there's a spiritual hierarchy. That never means inequality, because it doesn't exist in truth. Universal truth, that doesn't exist. We create that bullshit and we play it out here. Men have created that bullshit, and then we are forced to suffer through capitalism and enslavement and all the things, domination, conquering. In the world of oneness, when you think about a quote unquote hierarchy, there is a person in the middle. Think of a big circle. There's a person in the center. That is your main leader. And then in a very close-knit circle outside of her is a circle of people. She's a teacher. She teaches, she elevates that circle around her, and then the circle around them and the circle around them. That circle goes outwards in every direction, helping, extending themselves in every direction, holding our hands out so that everybody in the entire circle, although have differences, have different leadership roles and different positions, everyone, though, is the way of selfless service. Everyone is the way of responsibility. Everyone functions as the way of equality, as the way of harmlessness and gentleness, as the way of connection, as the way of compassion. Every single person functions as the ways of oneness, in oneness consciousness, elevating themselves to go higher and higher and higher. Everyone is of service. Even the main leader, she is serving everyone, and they are serving her. There's no inequality. It isn't that old patriarchal, I'm superior to you, you're subservient, or you're my fucking slave. Get out of here with that nonsense. Get your brain fixed. Heal and elevate enough in your level of consciousness that that doesn't come in anymore, that that's what you think society should look like. Or that you're dumb enough and ignorant enough and uneducated enough in true spiritual education. You're still a lower level of consciousness if you live in duality separation consciousness, which means you're going to say, oh, everybody does the same exact thing. No, they don't. That doesn't make any sense. We're not the same. Spiritually, we are the same. In human form, we are different. We're supposed to be different. The way that you serve is a different way that I serve because everybody in the group benefits from that. Everybody in the community, everybody in the world benefits from that. That we are different in our sameness, and in our sameness, we are incarnated and manifested as different geniuses, different abilities, different skills for a reason, all in selfless service, though, all in the way of harmony, the 20th way of oneness. Because as I serve you, you serve me. You serve me in a way that makes it easiest to serve you. I serve you in a way that makes it easiest to serve me. But we are always serving each other. Do you understand? That's where you have people in the community where the main people that are going to do the regenerative farming, growing of the food. They're the main people that focus on that because they're the ones that's their genius. That's their passion. That's their soul mission. In the way of honoring, you honor that. And it doesn't mean that the other people in the community don't help and do some of that sometimes. Of course they do, but is it their main job and main purpose? No. It also doesn't mean that they just take. And that you're my slave. Feed me. Grow food for me. That's not how we function in a world of oneness. The earth is a feminine planet. Femininity, the divine feminine, the sacred feminine, doesn't function in those fucked up dysfunctional ways. It doesn't exist. There are times when maybe a storm comes in. Let me stick with my little example, my little analogy here. A storm comes in, and all hands are on deck. It doesn't matter if you're not, one with your genius isn't in organic regenerative farming. We need all hands on deck right now. We just had a disaster. And that means even the leader, the one at the center of that circle, is doing it too. Do you understand? Now, fast forward into enlightened world. There was no such thing as borders because that's stupid. That's absolutely fucking ridiculous. One of the dumbest things anybody's ever created, men. It's fucking patriarchal bullshit. I'm going to dominate. I own everything. Just me. I own everything. I own the most of all of you. Oh, for the love of Christ. The planet, you don't own the planet. You're a visitor. You're renting. That's it. We are here temporarily. This is none of ours, and it's all of ours all at the same time. Now, be careful. Be careful. Because those of you that love to go off into woo-woo fucking land and do that airy-fairy shit, I'm a spiritual teacher, and I'm saying this. So listen carefully. Those of you that love to go way too woo-woo and do the airy-fairy, non-practical, completely unrealistic bullshit, it's okay to talk about futuristic, what the world would look like if we lived in oneness. We have to make that happen. We have to create that. That doesn't mean suddenly tomorrow that no borders exist in the world. That's fucking dangerous, and it is absolute stupidity. That's not what it means. You can't do that yet. We are not at a level of consciousness where we can do that. We don't just open all borders and pretend like there's no such thing as any country exists anymore. People in the future in an enlightened world, of course, they'll come and go wherever they want on the planet. Why are we restricting anybody from moving anywhere they want to be? You need special permission to come over here. What the fuck are you talking about? This is all of our planet to share. We go wherever the fuck we want to go, when we want to go. And yet, we're not there yet. So anybody coming and going as they please is motherfucking dangerous as of right now today. We are not yet at a level of consciousness where that's what we move to. Borders need to be protected right now because there are a lot of dangerous things happening. It is not black and white. Like, well, but refugees are coming. Yes, that's true. Also, psycho fucking killers are coming. Both of them are true. Do you understand? Get out of duality. It's only one or the other. No, it isn't. Yes, refugees are coming and seeking asylum and help me. It's really dangerous where I come from. I'm trying to escape. Yes, that's true. It's also true that a bunch of fucking psychopathic murderers are coming and gangs are reestablishing themselves here from other places who shouldn't have been allowed in here in this country. Both are true. Do you understand? So until the murdering psychopaths don't come in and start taking over full apartment complexes and shit, and our fucking government doesn't do jack shit about it, doesn't save the people, rescue anybody, come in, take the people out that need to be removed, and invoke peace and calm and their safe lives back. Where are you, government? Where are you, FBI? What are you doing other than fuck all? This is what we've created. These are the people doing the things they're doing, and these are the results, and all of it's a result of a fucking patriarchal society run by men, unconscious fucked up men of the world. Women, it is time to rise. Just no more of this. It is absolute bullshit. And that does not mean that all women should be creating like women only. That's not what it means. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with that for a while. We're going through a transition. If you don't feel safe, until men are not fucking violent anymore, and until they're not looking up your fucking skirts and trying to take pictures of you in the fucking your office, all that shit goes on. That level of objectification and violence and fear that is instilled in workplaces. Yes, all women companies and things should happen right now, because men are proving that they can't even work next to women without being a threat. And it is unfortunate that there are so many of them that do this shit. And men, for those of you who are not the ones who are healing and elevating, what the fuck are you doing about it? Where are you? I've seen some calling men out. I've seen some. Where are you? You don't get to call yourselves protectors. Protectors from what? Yourselves. You're the threat. I'm not afraid of being raped by a woman. No fear there. None. I'm not afraid of being snatched up on my way to the fucking grocery store by a woman. When I travel, I have to be afraid of men, especially depending on where I go. There's always a threat there. No matter where I travel in the world, there would always be a threat for me simply because I'm a woman. Men don't live like that. They don't have to. This patriarchal, fucked up, psychotic, violent world needs to go. And you can see more and more and more the separation of Earth, where there's the new Earth and the old Earth. But the new Earth is not just here and enlightened. Anybody telling you it's just here, there it is, meaning it fully exists. No, we are the ones that create it. Stop acting like helpless little children. God creates everything in God's plan. You have free will choice, motherfuckers. We are creating it. We are co-creating it. We have free will choice. Take responsibility. It is the first way of oneness. The majority of leadership positions in the world on a new earth will be held by elevated, enlightened women. This is a feminine planet. If you want a masculine one, leave the planet and go to a masculine planet. And you can blow each other up there. I mean, at such a young age, little boys trashing a house when they're left alone for 10 days compared to what girls did in the house. When young girls are in their toxicity, and whether it's their toxic masculine or toxic feminine, how do they behave to other little girls? They're mean, nasty little fucking bitches, aren't they? Mean girls. Movies are even made about them. You know what's funny is that they get all the fucking attention by our sexist society, saying, look at the mean girls. Girls are so mean. Girls are nasty. Girls bully. Oh my gosh. It doesn't mean that that's okay. I am not in any way, shape, or form dismissing that or downplaying the cruelty of that. I'm not. But are you fucking kidding me? Because you know what little boys do when their feelings get hurt at school? They fucking murder people. They're the school shooters. They show up with guns and they fucking kill everybody that they can get a shot off on. There's boys in that when their feelings are hurt, where girls are just mean. And I'm not saying that's excusable and that you don't put that shit in check, parents. Put it in check. No tolerance for meanness, for cruelty. No tolerance for it. But you cannot, you cannot say that there is not a drastic fucking difference with, well, girls when they're so mean and boys are murderers. What the fuck? Teenage boys are raping girls and they're murdering. Young boys are murdering. Young boys are sexually violating other boys and girls at a young age. Girls are just saying nasty words and bullying. Whoa. I mean, girls are the problem here. Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious right now? Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Women, let's go. Where are you? It is never about women just taking charge. This is not patriarchy in reverse. In an enlightened new earth of oneness, you want to know the real global leader would be a woman without a question. And the majority of the higher positions of leadership, without a question, would be elevated divine women. And there would also be men. Of course there would be. Elevated divine men who are in equilibrium. Higher levels of the universal way of oneness, the way of equality. The way of equality is number 9 out of 20 universal ways of oneness. Okay. The very lowest level of the way of equality is, the whole nonsense. Like, we still believe in race. We're a different race. It's only one race, the human race. So it's elevated in the misogyny. It's elevating out of, well, so we're different. Like, we're two different genders, or look how light my skin tone is compared to how dark your skin tone is. We can see our differences. We're still one. We're the same. So there's superficial surface level differences, which are ridiculous and a waste of time to fucking even talk about, because it's just stupid. It doesn't make any sense. Very low level of consciousness that you want to make what color your skin is a big fucking deal. I don't care what side of the coin you fall on when it comes to that. I don't care how dark skin you are. I don't care how light skin you are. If that's what you're focusing your time on, you're wasting your fucking life, and it's pathetic. The bigger problem is the male versus female, because men are violent motherfuckers and they create so much violence and fear and trauma all over the fucking planet. So that's the bigger issue here. But once we can heal enough of that, you also realize, well, we're different. We are also a lot very much the same. This is what's hilarious about people that are stuck in their low levels of consciousness with nonsense, that lack the way of equality. The way of equality means that we are not inferior or superior, period, end. That doesn't even exist, but we are different. But isn't it funny? Men and women have 2 arms, they have 2 legs, they have a head, they have 2 eyes, they have eyebrows and hair, they have eyes, eyelashes, nose, mouth, teeth, a tongue, a neck. They have a chest. We both have nipples. Oh my God, look how much is the same. And now women will develop breasts. There's the difference, but men still have breasts and breast tissue. But you don't have actual breasts, obviously. We're the ones here to feed and nurture. These are food machines. We're here to nurture and give you life and sustain that life with a part of our body. That's what boobs are for. And that's how miraculous we are. Look at the selfless giving that women just naturally offer simply by how they're biologically made. You have pubic hair, you have armpit hair. Oh, men do, women do. Isn't that amazing? Whoever would have thought? Around your genitals, you have pubic hair. Men and women both. Oh my God. And then obviously there are differences. We have a womb, you don't. We got a vagina, you got a penis and some balls. Right? And of course there's other differences in our genetic makeup and our the way our chemicals and hormones are. Of course there are other differences. We all have a heart, we all have lungs, we all got ribs, we have a skeletal system, we have a circulatory system, we all have a lymphatic system. Do you understand? We are more similar and have more that are the same than we have that are different. The differences are pretty drastic differences for a reason. It's done by design. Why are we still living in a place where we function at such a pathetically low level of consciousness that we can't just see that there are differences for a reason, and we're meant to honor them in the way of honoring, in the way of equality, in the way of harmony, in the way of harmlessness and gentleness? Do you understand? And so moving forward, when we talk about higher levels of the way of equality, it means that I am in balance with myself. We get past the whole, oh my God, racism, it's made up, and we play it out as a reality. Knock that shit off and it goes away. Misogyny, sexism, made up, and we play it out in a reality. Knock that shit off and it goes away. Stop playing. Stop making that a reality that we all suffer from. It's not hard. Everybody is a divine creator, powerful being. Create something different, for fuck's sake. Higher levels, when you get to the higher levels of the way of equality, there's 12 levels of every way of oneness. Higher levels of the way of equality, you start to understand it as equilibrium, as balance. It means to be in balance, a balanced state, emotionally, mentally, physically. It means with my divine masculine and my divine feminine, I am in a balanced state. That does not mean 50-50. That almost doesn't exist. A balanced state is in a feminine planet. There's no such thing as 50% of the planet is masculine and 50% of the planet. It's a feminine planet. There's going to be less masculine on the planet. Hello, have we not understood why? Look at what the masculine has done to the fucking planet. Too many of you fucking ruins everything and creates war and violence and rape everywhere. Killing everywhere. Domination, destruction everywhere. Put boys alone in a house for 10 days. Destruction everywhere. Chaos. Feminine's chaotic energy. You're fucking lying. It's bullshit. Masculine is the chaotic fucking energy. How have you not learned this yet? So when you talk about a futuristic one world of oneness, that the leaders of the world that spread out across the globe, yes, many more of those leaders are going to be elevated, powerful women. And it doesn't mean men don't have a place. That's fucking ridiculous. Of course they do. Divine, elevated men. But it isn't going to be all men and then like a token woman. Like that's patriarchal bullshit. I will tell you, it will be way more women than it will be men, because that is actual balance. Men come in with such destructive energies, chaotic energy, and you put too many of them in a room together or in a house for 10 days, even the little ones who aren't mature enough yet, fucking chaos everywhere, destruction everywhere. You can't have too many of them together at once. Look at what happens in a goddamn prison, for Christ's sake. I mean, Jesus, they don't, well, we don't have women to rape, so we'll just rape more men. We'll just rape men. That's what we'll do. We're going to murder each other. We're going to fight each other. We're going to destroy each other. We're going to dominate, and we're going to rape each other. Oh my God. But women are the one. Feminine energy is chaotic energy. You fucking psychopaths. And we're too dumb and blind when people say that. We're like, oh, feminine is chaotic energy. Oh my God. Oh, and I'm listening to that from a man. Most likely men are saying this, so it must be true. Women, are you fucking joking at this point? Seriously. Even my cat came in here meowing. She's like, I know. Enough's enough. The chaotic energy is masculine energy because you see it all over the fucking planet. It is chaos. It is war. It is destruction. It is hell on earth. Men, unconscious men created this. Look around. It's time to heal. And then we want to dare have the arrogance to talk about the crisis of men, especially in the country. It's all over the world now. It's not just the United States. Men are lonely. Really? So maybe you should start to look at the true leaders who are team players, which are women who function in oneness naturally. And that doesn't mean that there are not young girls, because I see this more now than I ever have in my whole life. Younger girls, younger generations that are just so nasty and fighting each other more than ever. They're like against each other more than ever. That's the toxic masculine domination. That's the result of fucking patriarchy. That isn't even toxic feminine energy. And yes, of course, toxic feminine exists without a question. You want to know why I don't spend a whole lot of time on it? Because it's what I said earlier. Oh, mean, nasty, bullying. Yeah, again, no excuse. Absolutely not minimizing, not justifying, not dismissing at all. I am the way of responsibility. Don't be irresponsible out there. Oh, my girl. Get the fucking girl in check. Get your fucking daughters in check who are showing up like toxic masculine little bitches. Enough's enough. We've had enough of this violence and meanness on the planet. Get them connected to their true nature, Mother Nature. That's what we are. So I am not excusing it or dismissing it or downplaying it. It shouldn't be happening. And you parents that have little girls doing this shit, you better knock them the fucking place. Get them in check. But I will say, there is no comparison with that compared to putting a bunch of men together. Even in natural disasters, in stadiums where everybody's kept, because everybody's home's destroyed. Everybody's in a stadium. Look this, I know you know what I'm talking about. Some of you will know what I'm talking about. What did the men start to do when they were all trapped in a stadium because everywhere around them destruction, nobody had anywhere to go. They're like, hello, government, save us, help, what the fuck? And what did the men start doing? They started raping all the fucking women in the stadium. So many men. And the other men stood around and fucking did nothing. Get the fuck out of here. This new earth will be led by women. We don't rape each other. We don't rape each other. There's no comparison with saying some mean, nasty thing. No excuse for it, but there's no comparison. Having a sharp tongue, being mean, compared to, I'm going to rape you, I'm going to abuse you, I'm going to dominate you, I'm going to enslave you, I'm going to control you. I might murder you too, and I might torture you for a while before I murder you. I'll take the mean girl. Are you fucking joking? The fuck are you talking about? Let's wake up. So women, it's time to rise. It is so time. It's time to take our planet back. It's time to offer the teachings of oneness consciousness and spread that around the world. It is time to elevate and take the leadership positions across the world. It is time to form our own new governments. Yes, you just heard me say that. It is time to form our own new communities, new governments that will be led by women. And of course, men are going to be a part of that. And of course, there will be men that will co-lead, but it will be, especially for a while until we get this planet in balance, predominantly women, because it has to be in order to get everything back in balance. And the more that men can elevate and prove themselves that they can step into equilibrium, which is the way of equality, into the way of harmony, the 20th universal way of oneness, then they will co-lead with women, of course. But until that happens and until the violence stops on this planet, until men step up and no longer allow the violence and the raping and the destruction and the wars and the fighting, until you step up and show that you're worthy of being a leader by stopping the destruction of the planet and stopping the raping of women and stopping the murdering of women and the abuse and all of the things that are happening in this world that connect to violence, until you step up and do your part when it comes to that, you don't deserve to lead. You are no leaders. Women who function in oneness are. And we are here because we are the creators in human form that birth things into manifested creation. We birth things into being. Women do. So, women, let's go. Let's rise. Let's join together. Let's get these elevated levels of spiritual teachings, connect to what we really are, understand the higher levels of oneness consciousness so that we can take back this planet and heal all of the beings on this planet. All of them deserve the power of the feminine. Every being on this planet deserves it. And don't you dare misunderstand. Well, do men deserve it? Well, that's a tricky question. So, at the soul essence, of course. But you all better step the fuck up. You don't deserve it, you entitled fucks. I know a lot of you that would listen to this and be like, well, men deserve it. Nah, I'm entitled. I deserve it. You should just give it to me. Fuck you. Earn your place on this planet. Earn your fucking place on this planet. Man or woman, earn your place on this planet. What have you done to earn your fucking place on this planet? Except piss all over it and create destruction and violence and disharmony and inequality. What have you done to earn your place on this planet? What do you do to create compassion, harmlessness, and gentleness, responsibility, equality, purity, the way of purity? Where the fuck is that? What have you done to earn your place on this feminine planet? Because if you're the one contributing to the destruction of her, you're a misogynist, man or woman. What have you done to earn your place on this, what's supposed to be heaven on earth? That is your responsibility to step up. I am going to hold you accountable. And it's about time that the women in this world step up more and more. And I see you. I know you are. But let's go higher. It isn't enough just yet. We need elevated teachings so that you can connect to the truth of what you are. There is a process to become that elevated spiritually. It doesn't just happen to you because you choose to be a little spiritual. That's not the path. That's not truth. So I want to see the women stepping up, coming forward, becoming powerful leaders, and stop acting like you're weak and pathetic and that you're second best, that you're inferior. The whole reason why this planet is the way it is and is almost destroyed is because all the women back in the day, when they still would get together and support each other in community, they would form communities, they would heal each other, and they would share wisdom. All the men broke all that shit up. That's what witch trials were for. You're a witch, you're a that, when you're a healer. All the communities, because that oneness was always how women functioned. Men across the centuries separated women, pitted them against each other, didn't let them connect and be together. They kept them all separate so that they could dominate and control, and that women wouldn't connect to their true power and realize what they are. So that all the teachings, the ancient teachings, enlightened teachings couldn't be passed down in women. And this is the result, what you see today. So it's time to rise. Let's go, women. It's time to rise. I'm waiting for you. Bye for now.